Let's be honest, in cybersecurity, words are basically weapons. And if you don't speak the language, you're left defenseless. So today, we're going to decode the professional's lexicon. Because really, understanding this stuff is the absolute first step to protecting yourself in our digital world.
Okay, this quote just cuts right to the chase. In cybersecurity, words are diagnostic tools. It's not about sounding smart, it's about being effective. Calling a ransomware attack a simple virus is like telling a doctor you have a cold when you're having a heart attack. The treatment is completely different. In this world, precision isn't just a nice to have, it is protection.
So, how do the pros actually think about all this? Well, it turns out it all starts with a surprisingly simple formula. It's a trio of concepts that people mix up all the time, but they're the absolute foundation of any real security strategy.
First up, we have vulnerability. The easiest way to think about this is as a weakness, a crack in the armor. It's a flaw, just sitting there waiting to be found. Maybe it's software you forgot to update or a password that's way too simple, like password 123. The key thing here is that it's a passive state of being exposed. It's the unlocked door.
Okay, so if the vulnerability is the unlocked door, the threat is the person actively looking for unlocked doors. It's the active danger. This could be a hacker, an automated attack script that's just scanning the internet, or, it could even be something non-digital, like a flood that could wipe out a data center. A threat is what could take advantage of the vulnerability.
And here's where it all clicks into place. Risk is what happens when a threat actually meets a vulnerability. It's the potential for real damage. See, you can have a vulnerability, that unlocked door, but if no threats are around, there's not much risk. And you can have a threat, a burglar, but if all your doors are locked, again, not much risk. You need both for the danger to become real.
And you know what? This simple little formula drives massive, multi-billion-dollar decisions every single day. Big companies know they can't possibly fix every single flaw. It's just impossible. So what do? They use risk-based prioritization. They figure out which vulnerabilities, when combined with the most likely threats, would cause the absolute most damage. That's what they fix first. It's all about focusing on what matters most.
All right, so now we get the basic ingredients of risk. Let's see how they get put together in a real-world attack. We're going to break down the anatomy of a modern breach, piece by piece.
So it all begins with the attack surface. Think of this as every single possible entry point into a company. Every server, every laptop, every cloud app, even an employee's home Wi-Fi. Once an attacker finds a weak spot on that surface, they choose an attack vector. That's the specific path they'll take to get in, like a clever phishing email. And finally, they deploy an exploit. That's the actual piece of code that takes advantage of a vulnerability and kicks the door down.
Now, in the world of exploits, there's one that is basically the holy grail for attackers and a total nightmare for defenders: the zero-day. The name says it all. It's an attack that uses a vulnerability that the good guys don't even know exists yet. The software maker has had literally 0 days to build a patch. And that, of course, makes these exploits incredibly dangerous and incredibly valuable on the black market.
The thing is, these threats are always evolving. So let's take a quick look at some of the key terms that really define the cybersecurity battlefield today.
So first you've got social engineering. This is the classic art of hacking humans, but now it's supercharged with AI and terrifyingly realistic deepfakes. Then there's RAS, ransomware as a service. I'm not kidding. Cybercrime is now a professional industry with subscription models. And APT, or Advanced Persistent Threat, is a whole different level. Think of a stealthy, long-term spy operation, often backed by an entire country. And finally, exfiltration. This is the endgame. It's the moment the attackers actually steal your data and sneak it out of the system.
Okay, that's enough doom and gloom about the attackers. Let's flip the script. How do the professionals actually fight back? Let's get familiar with the vocabulary of the defenders.
A huge part of it starts with Identity and Access Management, or IAM. Think of it like a digital bouncer. It's constantly asking two simple questions. Who are you, and are you actually allowed to be here? That's backed up by MFA, multi-factor authentication, which is just a way of forcing you to prove you are who you say you are with something more than just a password. And of course, to close all those holes we talked about, there's patch management, the never-ending but absolutely crucial job of updating software.
Another critical defense is encryption, but it's important to know it comes in two flavors. You have encryption at rest, which protects data that's just sitting on a hard drive. Think of it like cash locked in a bank vault. Then you have encryption in transit, which protects data while it's moving across the internet. That's the armored truck carrying the cash. To be truly secure, you absolutely have to have both.
Okay, you've learned the language of risk, attack, and defense. So now it's time to put it all together. Let's see if you can analyze a security incident like a seasoned pro would.
All right, here's the scenario. A company loses a ton of customer data. It all started when an employee clicked a link in a fake email that looked like it was from the CEO. So take a second. Using the language we've just covered, how would you describe what happened?
So how did you do? A pro wouldn't just say, "Someone clicked a bad email." No way. They'd say this: a threat actor used a social engineering tactic as their attack vector. This vector delivered an exploit that managed to bypass the company's IAM controls, ultimately resulting in data exfiltration. You see the difference? It's not about panic, it's about precision. Every single one of those words tells a critical part of the story and points toward a solution.
So, we'll end with a question for you. Now that you speak the language, now that you know the formula, risk equals threat times vulnerability, I want you to take a serious look at your own digital life. What's your single biggest vulnerability? And what are the most likely threats that could take advantage of it? Because answering that question, well, that's the first real step to becoming your own best defender.